So there you have it at 2 minutes after 11 o'clock, the expected tea break coming our way. The commissioners are sticklers for detail, having a back and forth about exactly what time we should be back. 11:17 is when we'll be back inside the main auditorium here at the Bridget Mabandla Justice College. We've been listening into the first leg of testimony from Elaine Harrison. She, of course, is the KZN Director of Public Prosecutions. And as we had laid out in the moments prior to her taking to the hot seat, her role has come into sharp focus as the individual who's meant to oversee prosecutions in KwaZulu-Natal and the general administration of justice. And as expected, she spent quite some time, at least the beginning stages of her statement, essentially helping us get a sense of how she found out about the disbandment of the Political Killings Task Team and what she read into that, at least to some extent. And I suppose we might as well take you back to that moment in case you missed it before we speak to our senior reporter, Kenny Mapanga, who was inside that main auditorium for you. It was literally within the first 5 minutes of this new witness taking to the stand. Already it was clear that the line of command isn't, at least as is prescribed by the law. She straight head on went off to tell us that she found out about the disbandment of the Political Killings Task Team via social media. Let's listen in.
As the Director of Public Prosecutions for KwaZulu-Natal, I have considered the Political Task Team as an essential and necessary structure for the province of KwaZulu-Natal and the country as a whole. This is so as the team was precisely aimed at dealing with politically motivated and related crimes that gained momentum and threatened to destabilize the province and to spiral to other provinces. During January 2025, I then, through the social media reports, I came to learn about the de-establishment of the task team. And at that time, I thought it was fake news. So I was on leave.
So you initially thought it was fake news. When you returned from leave, what did your opinion change?
After I returned to the office in January 2025, I was informed by Advocate Gaba, the dedicated prosecutor who's responding to the task team matters, that the social media reports may be well true because the team had been informed by General Kumalo only to continue with matters that had been enrolled or were waiting for decision.
Now, have you ever formally been notified of the disestablishment of the task team?
At no stage was any formal communication addressed to my office notifying us of the de-establishment of the task team.
It's an extraordinary account. Advocate Harrison saying she was on leave. She saw messages on social media, initially thought it was fake news, and it's only when she got back to work that she realized that, in fact, there was credence to those reports. Let's bring in Kenny Mapanga, who I mentioned has been listening in from a close vantage point. And Kenny, once again, a picture is being painted where the national commissioner didn't know that this task team was being disbanded, the provincial commissioner wasn't in the loop, and the KZN DPP.
Indeed, it begs the question why this decision had to be taken during a period where key role players in this political killings task team, along with the prosecutors that would have worked on this, are not in the know regarding what is happening to a unit that we're now hearing, or a team rather, let's put it that way, even though Major General Van Uren said there's no difference between the team and the unit, but a unit that is so critical to the work of political violence in the KwaZulu-Natal province. You're now getting it from the vantage point of the KZN DPP, who is the NPA head for the province. So she would have a good idea of the kind of priorities that she would have to respond to in the province. And you're seeing her state that the first time that she learned of such a disbandment was through social media, and not immediately when it took place on the 31st of December 2024. That is because she's on leave. But only once she saw those media reports, which then triggered her letter to Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi to seek answers as to what was the status of the disbandment of the PKTT as seen in social media reports.
Right. And you speak about that letter. In fact, part of what's revealed in her writing that letter to Mkhwanazi is how she felt about organized crime, not only in KZN, but also around the country. Take a listen to that moment.
It is requested that you assist with providing my office with a response regarding whether the SAPS political task team still exists. The dedicated capacity needs to respond to the dedicated task team. If there is no dedicated task team, then the dedicated prosecutorial capacity will be dissolved, and all new cases will have to be reported to the chief prosecutors in the area where the crime is committed. This office cannot retain dedicated capacity where there is no dedicated SAPS task team. Your correspondence will assist us as the unit has to plan for the year 2025-2026. It has its own priorities as per the NPS AOP. As we are all aware, organized crime has become the new focus or priority, and this office needs to plan. I am unfortunately not able to complete the planning because the issue regarding the existence of the task team has not been communicated. At this stage, the only information which one has is that in the media.
So there you have it. In that letter, the KZN DPP says to Ntantla Mkhwanazi that if there is no specific capacity to deal with this form of organized crime, the cases that they were already pursuing will be dissolved, and of course that doesn't bode well for prosecutions and the administration of justice. Elaine Harrison, of course, still on the hot seat as a fourth witness here at the Commission of Inquiry. Once again, Kenny, let's bring you into the discussion. And once again, you know, real concerns that are being raised when you realize that, in fact, Elaine Harrison and Advocate Elaine Harrison, I beg your pardon, and Lieutenant General Ntantla Mkhwanazi were both in the dark about this, but are singing from the same hymn sheet insofar as the effectiveness of this unit is concerned.
Yes, that's correct. But there are some parts where they disagree. But where they're on the same page is that this is a critical team towards addressing this issue of political violence in the country. She also goes on to state that it's not only KZN that can benefit from these desired results that they're now seeing in KZN, but she said that it could be something that could benefit the country, because she explains that the pattern of political violence is that it can start in the KZN province and then spill over into other provinces. So she was raising the alarm or forewarning in that letter that first she's trying to seek clarity on whether it's been disbanded or not. And then if that is the case, she's stating that she's going to have to remove that dedicated team from the NPA that has been given to this task team to deal with these cases. And then of course she deals with the implications that could follow regarding the disbandment of the PKTT, knowing that this is still a prevailing issue in the province. And she raises the alarm that there is looming 2026 local government elections, and they know that with this, what is preceded by elections is political violence, and that can be from within political parties in their own structures or from party to party, depending on what the circumstance is. Each case changes, but she was giving a forewarning that this issue is going to come up during the 2026 local government elections, and this team is needed to deal with those particular cases.
Briefly, you mentioned the fact that there were instances or areas where there seems to be disagreements,
yes,
and that's around prosecutions, prosecutors, and whether or not they're allegedly involved in these criminal syndicates.
Yes, so you remember that Lieutenant General Ntantla Mkhwanazi intimated, because remember his testimony, a lot of it is joining the dots, some of it is clear, some of it still needs further testimony in order for it to stand. But he created the impression that prosecutors were withdrawing cases related to this alleged organized crime syndicate for flimsy reasons, if we could put it that way. But upon hearing her evidence, she reaches a different view, stating that upon review of those cases, that they found that the reasons that they were withdrawn were justified. So there was no malice or ulterior purpose behind the prosecutors not completing those particular cases that Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi seems to be frustrated with. And then she also mentions that there could have been a different approach where he could have requested a review prior to reaching the conclusion that he did. She also debunks the suggestion that political killings as an issue was something that only existed pre-1994. She says that the case numbers will speak for themselves, and at that time she was referring to the year of 2019, stating that it would be incorrect to ever try to suggest that in our constitutional democracy that this problem is not a problem. And I think the commissioners were raising that claim that Minister Mchunu allegedly reduced political killings in our current dispensation as just merely murders, whereas we're seeing the SABC officials, the high-ranking SABC officials that we've already seen testify, actually states that they're very specific types of crime that are linked directly to the political landscape and deal with that issue of party-to-party violence or party violence.
Kenny Mapanga, thanks very much indeed. Stationed, of course, still here at the Bridget Mabandla Justice College. That's where day 7 of the Madlanga Inquiry is well underway. We're on a brief tea break. As soon as we come back, I'm sure we'll be able to pop you right back into the main auditorium here in Pretoria. Do stick around. More of our coverage on the SABC News Channel in just a moment.